oddest connection or inspiration you found that it ballooned a idea or inspired an idea?
Oh, my
Can you recall?
oddest one?
Yeah,
Oh my
besides
goodness.
having sevens.
No, usually I will think about that, I'll write about it, and then I'm like, oh, we need to try. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, well, because I do write, I've started writing in another genre too. So, I mean, this is not an odd one, but earlier this week I went to see a movie. I'm not sure if it was locally filmed. It's Canadian though. It was, I think you were there. It was beautiful. And that was a lot of inspiration for a book that I'm writing. And it just was like, a scene came to me, it's like, oh, you need to write about this because it just sparked this memory or something that I had. I'm trying to think of the oddest thing that I had. I think maybe like one time being triggered, like angry, like someone kind of pissed me off. And I was like really mad about it. And then it's like, oh, but this would be a really good scene for this book. And then it was like, oh, here we go. And then it was like, blah, blah, blah. And it was good because sometimes I need that emotional connection to my characters. Because you'll notice in my books, I'm very character driven. It's always the communication between people that is the most important to me. And I think dialogue is one of my strengths. So when I got triggered when I was angry, it was like, oh, I could like put that into this scene. And I know that when I feel that when I'm writing, I know that other people will feel it when they read it and hopefully trigger that kind of feeling or that they'll get the point of what I'm trying to say, that it's not flat when I do that. But I don't know, that's a good one. I'll have to think about that. Odd. I'm sure I've had some odd ones, but
Those notes.
yeah, I know. I just usually write it and then I forget about what triggered me. But yeah, that's a good question though. Yeah.
Do you have any of the characters that you think are more you than others of your characters? Is there one that you think one of your central repeating characters or anything that you feel is?
Well, there's a little piece of me, I think, in every character that I write because I want to feel connected to them. I want to know who they are. Sometimes I have what's called writer's block if I feel like they're not talking to me. Like if these characters are not saying what I want them to say, and sometimes I find it's because I'm not talking to myself. I'm not connecting with something in myself. Probably the one character in Rebound, her name's Claire. She's the lead, or the female heroine in the book. I probably connect with her the most. And when the book first came out, the reviews were mixed because everybody loved the hero. They thought he was great and he was understanding and loving and blah, blah, blah. And they did not like her. And I couldn't figure out why, because I understood her. I got that. I knew who she was. But I realized that I had given her an anxiety disorder and I didn't fully explore it in the book because I hadn't really explored that in myself, that I had been very, very anxious. But what I did with my anxiety was I stuffed it down into deep places and didn't want to look at it. And so my thing was like, if I felt afraid, I don't want to feel afraid, so I'm just going to not feel it at all and then do it. And I think that really came across with the way that she acted in the book. People didn't understand her motivations. So when I redid the book, I rewrote it so that her character reflected that and what she was doing about her anxiety and how she was dealing with it. And when one of my editors looked at it, she said, I don't know what you did with this book the first time, but you nailed it with this. And I went, yay, one person gets it.
Okay.
But that was important for me as a professional, that she understood the book and the characters and thought it was a great job. So then I thought, well, good, that makes two of us, and then when it goes out into the world, hopefully everybody else likes them too. So I probably identify with her the most, but that was my baby book. Yeah.
What made you write Ménage à Trois?
Oh, okay. I wish my parents were here for this one tonight, but they can't be here. This series was actually inspired by my mom. I haven't written the book that my mom and I talked about yet, but we were camping one year and they had this, and at the campsite they were setting up for a double wedding, and and the brides were walking around, and so my mom and I started joking around, like, well, what if like both brides got left at the altar, and and then I said, what if they married each other, and so, and then I started writing, and that's why I wrote. That's actually going to be the third book in the series. I haven't written it yet, but that's what inspired the series. And that book actually, in particular, was because my daughter rescued a cat. And the cat then escaped the house and got pregnant, and then we had kittens. And I felt like I was always at the vet. And so this is about a cat lady, or actually she works at an animal shelter, but she keeps rescuing animals to see the vet because he's cute. And my vet at the time, he was really cute. And so then I said that on Facebook, I think, and people were like, that would make a good story. And I'm like, it sure would. So I wrote about this woman and her cats and her vet. And so they're all set in like a really small town, where there's lots of gossip and people there. So, and that one's a comedy. So this one, my editor said, this is a totally outrageous book and yet believable. And I went, nailed it again. Yeah. So I have a weird sense of humor. You read my work, you'll get that. Yeah. Oh, I thought someone put up their hand. No?
Well, I can ask a question.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of interested in your heroes. Like, do you kind of write like your dream guy, or do you kind of explore like different personalities and stuff? Like, what goes into your creation of the dude?
Okay, well, into the dudes. Well, when I first wrote this book, I don't know, you remember the show Smallville? And I can't remember what the actor's guy that played Clark Kent, like, he had the wavy dark hair. I was like, that's Dean, is it?
Oh no, that was
No,
the
no,
old
no,
one.
it's
No, that was
the
the
newer,
one.
yeah, he was my, like, inspiration for Rebound. Tumbling Hearts, actually, I was into that show Supernatural for a long time, and Dean was like, my thing. So that was Dean. And then actually in The Perfect Score, oddly enough, I was at a school assembly, and there was a new teacher at school. And I went, man, that guy's hot. I'm not going to say it out loud. And I just thought, and then I thought, well, gymnastics coach and a parent, I'm like, that's a good combination, don't you think? There's a lot of tension there. So that's where, so I kind of had, I just use people that are like inspirational, kind of thing. And he's a good looking guy. Teacher's a good looking guy. He's still there. I haven't had him. You know who it is. Yeah. So that's where I do that, and then of course this one with the vet.
What makes you pick out the pictures for the covers?
Well, actually, the covers, I can't control the covers. The cover artist at the publisher, they basically give me, I send them in a form. They send me back some cover art, and we haggle about small details, but usually the picture is not something that unless I really hate it, I don't really have any control over what goes on the cover. But I do work with some really good people at Ecstasy Books, and the cover artist for all these books, like, just fantastic. Like, I think there's 3 different cover artists that have done these books, so they're really good about listening, and I just say, oh, can you change this? And I always try to, unless I really don't like something, but usually I'm like, can you just change the font a little? How about this color? And they do that. So otherwise I don't really have too much choice. So I think I get 3 strikes and I'm out. That's it. I get to make 3 changes.